Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a Rune and Tarot Divination for Monday, the 14th day of March 2022. Well, I'm just going to get this out of the way and say that I don't like this springing forward business. I never have. I don't know. It's just so. I mean, when you work, when you're still in the workforce, when you're retired, you have no choice, right? Because you've got to go to work. And so it really doesn't matter what the clock says, you still have to get up and go, right? Well, when you're retired, you don't have to do that, but it's still disruptive. And I don't like it. So anyway, I'm starting late today. It's almost 10, although my bathroom clock says it's almost 9. So I don't know. We'll get it worked out, though. I'll feel better eventually. Take a couple of weeks, though. Anyway, we have a 5 numerology today from the Esoteric Influences, which they're already up on the blog. They went out in the newsletter. The other posts I do for the week are also up, so check those out over there at the blog at imsteppingaside.com. It's called Stepping Aside. And you can check all that stuff out and see if any of that impacts you at all here. Gives you a little bit of insight, maybe, hopefully. But anyway, a 5 numerology involves protection, change, innovation, and freedom. The rune today, not necessarily the one we're going to choose here today, but it's Manaz. It means man or humanity or integration, individual within society. It's the thought rune. It also involves memory. But it's the idea of the collective sense as opposed to more individual memory. It's all the memories we and all the experiences that we add to the Akashic record, which you then see manifested a little more in Othala, which is the last rune of the Elder Futhark. But anyway, the geomancy rune today is Tristitia, which involves sadness, grief. It's considered an evil influence. Protection, it means grudges, secretiveness. So it can be a little the receptive side of it would be the sadness and the grief, but the projective side would be the things you might do about that. The sun's in Pisces for a few more days, and then the moon is in Leo today, and the planetary governance for work and magic is the moon. So change is possible today if you examine how well you integrate with others. Are you holding yourself back, or are outside forces appearing to interfere with your plans? That's that Tristitia influence there. Let's see. The moon in Leo and the 5th house suggests that you enjoy spending time with family, and with their support, you're coming to terms with your own sense of individuality. Insight you've gained along with compassion you feel for the pain of others provides necessary comfort and support. In addition, your intuition will guide you today toward reevaluating a situation that you find challenging. Provide assistance to others during moments that challenge their resolve. Pay attention to areas of weakness that can impact a positive outcome, and accept responsibility for the choices that you make. In doing so, you prepare the ground for further success that not only benefits you, but also others on the same shared path. So let's get rid of this. Puts this over here. That's today's Esoteric Influences for Monday. And we'll go over Thursdays on Thursday when we do this again, just to give you an idea of what that's all about. You can always check it out over on the blog, or you can sign up for the newsletter, and you get it in your inbox on Saturday nights. So if I realize you don't need any more stuff in your inbox. You can always unsubscribe. You just scroll down to the very bottom and click unsubscribe, and it does. It takes you off the list. You don't have to do it a bunch. It just does it. And so, anyway, let's go ahead, I guess, and take the rune for today. Oh, let me move my keyboard out of the way here, so I've got some room on the desk. I think our chickens went nuts this morning. That's what woke us up. There was a blue heron that flew into the pond. We've always had them in the pond. One year we had a snowy egret come by and that one was there for maybe I don't know, 3 or 4 days, and you could see him from the road. Our house is way down off the road, but he was sitting next to one of the ponds, and that bird was so bright, it was almost iridescent white. It was just gorgeous. I've never seen another one, but we have a variety of things that come in here, which is kind of cool. But herons are one of them, and they had their baby here one time. One of them did. It was very cool. This is Hagalaz, one of the Norn runes. This is the Norn rune of the past, and it's transforming something within a fixed framework. So you're making it's not that you give up all your values and principles, but maybe you need to tweak some things in the center of that. And so that's really what Hagalaz is doing. It's restructuring things so that, in a sense, you're not bringing the past into the present. That would be one way to look at Hagalaz. And it's about protection, transformation, all of that. Let's take a look. But again, it's destruction within a fixed framework. So it's kind of like, it's known as the witch rune for a reason, because that's really what you're doing when you work a spell. You're just simply trying to influence a better outcome. Maybe bringing things up to a more spiritual level, to where someone or yourself, whether you're doing it on behalf of yourself or someone else, just to get them to, or get yourself to understand the higher principles involved in something, so that you can then make a better choice, right, going forward. So it's really just all about influence, really. But let's take a look at, let's see, where's fire? There's fire. So I'm thinking we're looking here at, we're looking at conjunctio. First I thought it was Rubius, but no, we're looking at conjunctio. And conjunctio is about unity and joining. Agreements, maybe. Kind of looks like a little hourglass. But it's this feeling of coming together in the center, coming together and in understanding, or a shared type of understanding, union, again, unity, joining, agreement. So perhaps what needs to happen then in terms of Hagalaz, then there needs to be maybe a restructuring of how you see things, restructuring of perception, maybe to see things from a higher perspective, so that you can then that would be the as above side of the runes here. The so below side then would be to be able to come together in some kind of unity or agreement with others. But let's see what the cards have to say. Now, I've already, for the most part, shuffled these and cut the deck and all of that, but I'm just going to do just a little bit more, just to be sure. I hate drawing the same cards from the week before. It's just like, because it's because I haven't shuffled enough. So anyway, let's go ahead and take our first 3 cards. If we need more, we'll take them. Otherwise, we'll end the reading with the 3. Well, a couple of soul archetype cards from the major arcana, Empress and the World. And then there is the 6 of Pentacles, which I always think looks better than what it is. Let's start with that one. We'll start with the one in the center, the 6 of Pentacles. Here we have, we show 6 coins, but they're not in balance, are they? You don't see 3 on either side. Although you see the man holding the scales, he's a man of means, and he's offering coins to someone on the ground with some kind of a wrap around them, or a blanket around them. The other one has the same, in the colors of the Ukrainian flag. But you have, if we read it from that way, this would be an interesting reading, wouldn't it? But here you have someone putting some coins into outstretched hands. The issue with this is you can look at it in terms of shared abundance, because in one sense it is, okay? With the 6, you're looking at a different level of harmony, a shared type of experience. You're also looking at health issues and things like that. You've got, he's feigning justice, but you can see he's not looking at the scales. And he's holding him kind of in back of himself there. So he's not real. I just don't see this as I used to read it as shared abundance, but I don't really anymore. This really is about keeping people in their place. He's not helping lift them up. He's just dropping a few coins in the one's hands while the other one holds his hands outstretched as well and looking up at the man. There's a feeling of one class versus another class. So it's almost like an expression of a caste system, where you're going to drop a little bit in their hands, but you're not going to do anything to help elevate them and help get them to a place where they can then take care of themselves and contribute productively to society. And so to me, there's that lack of understanding, if you will, of the whole situation. And if you look here, it's almost like it's a physical representation of the scales, where he's up here and the two men are here. And it's always that way. And instead of it creating a level of understanding, again, to where you really find what's really going to help these people, is you give them a job. You say, you know what, I'm going to give you a little bit of this just to get you going, but I've got some work and I really need some people I need to fill these positions. Would you like to come and work for me? And then you'll have a steady paycheck, and then, you can pay for what you need. That's truly helping. Giving people the education they need, or getting, in other words, do something to get them out of the poverty that they're in, because clearly they cannot do it for themselves. They're there, and circumstances are such that they can't get out of it. They're always going to be down on their knees. And that's not what really is going to help the situation. So shared abundance is fine to a point, but if that's all you're doing and you're not helping elevate someone, well, it's really going to keep them in the place that it is. And sometimes it's designed to do it that way, right? And so I'm actually I really think that it works well and aligns well with both Hagalaz and Conjunctio, in that there needs to be a transformation of perception here. And so how are we going to do that? We're going to do that with these cards. When I say that the major arcana are soul archetype cards, these are the things the soul knows and keeps referring to in form, all right? Whether or not the ego is, the ego's not going to want to perceive it that way, but if you keep your awareness on a soul level and be cognizant that you are a soul in these bodies, and you don't get so caught up in the goings on of life that you are responding only to it. You forget to draw down spirit into your awareness that you already know, and see things from a higher perspective. So that, I think, is what having two major cards with this in the middle, I think it's basically telling this guy, hey, there's another perspective to have here, instead of just thinking, oh, I'll just throw some coins in this guy's hand and I'll move on, and okay, I've done my due diligence, right? I brought things to balance. Like, no, you haven't. You haven't done anything at all, really. What you've done is just, it's almost insulting, right? So enter the Empress. We see her as the goddess. First you have, it's almost like a triumvirate of experience here. You start out with the Fool, which takes the leap of faith into form, and that's card 0, right? And then you go to card number 1, which is the Magician, which is all about creating the physicality of life. And then you move on to the High Priestess, and that brings the unconscious awareness into play, all right? And the subconscious into play. And then from there, they come together and express themselves as the Empress. And note, this is not an Empress and Emperor card. She gives birth to the world without the influence of the authoritarian emperor. All right. You see her crown up here of stars. They're actually Merkabahs. You see her shield down here with the glyph of Venus. The Empress is the mother aspect in form. She's the divine mother, the great mother, if you will, giving birth to the world, giving birth to creation. Whereas the High Priestess would be the feminine divine. The mother aspect, or Gaia aspect, is the Empress. And so love, fertility, she's actually pregnant. You can't really see it too well in this presentation, but she is. So she represents the womb and abundance, and it's a receptivity type of a card. Venus is receptive. beauty, also success is felt with this card. So you see all the fertility, all the abundance around her. She holds her scepter in her right hand, and she has her left hand calmly placed on her left knee. There's the triplicity of experience Maiden Mother Crone felt with the Empress. And so if you think about that in terms of compassion, then if you take a more compassionate understanding, a higher level of understanding for the man in the 6 here, holding the scales and giving the alms to the poor, then you understand that that's not the solution. It might be temporary to get them some food for the day, but it doesn't fix the problem. And so the agreement of conjunctio, the unity of conjunctio, he doesn't see himself as the same as the people on the ground. He sees himself as elevated. And for problems to be solved, we can't see one another that way. We have to see the problem that someone else is having as our own, and feel that compassion and that greater understanding to then go and help that person in some way, to elevate himself or herself so that they're no longer in need, you see. Here you have another 3 energy, the 21st card, the last card of the major arcana, the world. Now you see the nude figure here holding 2 scrolls. Now in the magician card, you would see an as above, so below presentation with the scroll, well, in the right hand, scroll being held to spirit, and the left hand being held, the receptive side of self, being pointing down to form. So we're manifesting spirit into form with that card. And here, this is the end of the manifestation. You have spirit alignment here, both on the positive and negative, or male or female, or receptive or projective aspects of self. You see the cyclical nature of life here with the never-ending garland. You see both expressions, as above, so below, or as above, so below, and with the lemnis gates or figure 8s here. So you see the cyclical nature of both spirit and cyclical nature of both, as well as form. Here you see the hermetic glyphs for the pictorial type of glyphs, the hermetic glyphs for the elements, the 4 elements. And so all things are in balance at the end. You've gained all of the insight that you were supposed to gain. That comes from the smaller cards, the minor arcana and the court. But you've gone through this whole process of awakening spirit into form, manifesting all of those elements of spirit into your awareness. And here you come full circle. So there's a sense of both endings and completion. So what that means, and it's also a 3 energy. All right. We have a 6 energy here. So that numerology, see, is simply a doubling of the 2 3s. 21 reduces to 3. So we have 2 3s and a 6. And so together they make us, the 2 major cards give us a 6. And so we have the sense of awakening, especially with Hagalaz, where we've awakened to the understanding that, you can toss a few, crumbs to this person or that person, but unless you change their circumstances, unless society sees that it benefits from changing the circumstances of someone else who's struggling, all of society benefits when it does that, you see. But instead we see it as us versus them, of the person with means and the person without, and the person with means seeks to keep it that way. And so I think that what we're seeing here is, however this manifests in your life, it's talking about a shift in perception with Hagalaz in a manner that comes from higher awareness, that says, you know what, either we work from that level and see the bigger picture about something, we're never really going to fix the true problem. Now, whether that's maybe interactions you have with someone that aren't going well, or maybe there's something at work that's happening that it's like there's this disconnect, in other words. Until you fix that disconnect, the problem that needs to be solved today or over the next few days, or what's needed to be solved, probably isn't going to find much of a resolution. You have to get outside of it and allow your perceptions to transform to something that involves higher awareness or soul awareness. And I think that that's the reason why we've got two major cards here today. That it's really telling this guy here, look, the compassion, the abundance, the true abundance is found in the soul's perspective and not the perspective of the ego. You might think you're helping, but you're really not. You're not getting to the heart of the problem. And they're just using it. And I think the reading is just using this type of experience to talk about that. It doesn't have to be that you have to go out and make sure someone gets an education personally. I'm not talking about that. It's just basically the idea that you have to shift your perception to a higher level of awareness so that you can see the bigger picture for what it is, and then apply that principle to whatever it is you're dealing with. Because at that point, see, then you can come full circle. And, the world is also a card of success. It's also a card of achievement. So see, at that point, you go from, one level of compassion and to what you can achieve if you see that higher level of perspective, you see, or whatever's going on from a higher level of perspective. And then you can really bring whatever's happening, because Pentacles is about the earth element. And so it's about our physical reality, our work, our home, family, all of that. Everything that happens in life is talked about in the Suit of Pentacles, or the earth element. How grounded you are, your tradition, your values, all of that. He's not seeing this from the right standpoint. And so the problem here is never going to get solved. So, it could be anything, really. It doesn't have to, be what he's doing. This card would depict something where there's a different level of awareness that does not see the true picture of what's happening. And so if you can't, you're not going to solve the problem. So whatever's going on for you today, or over the next few days, think about it in terms of, what am I missing? Am I missing the perspective that will actually solve the problem? If someone's trying to tell me something, am I really hearing what they're saying? Or am I so caught up in my own idea of it that I cannot see what they're telling me? Because if you can't, then you're not going to truly be able to resolve the issue, if it's an interpersonal one, for example. So you have to be able to put yourself in the place of the other person and be able to see it from their perspective before you can really know what you can do to either understand the problem or to help, provide some kind of assistance. So I think that that's really what this is saying for us today. And be willing with Hagalaz to allow your perspective to transform. And it's not asking you to throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's just saying, look, there's something about this situation you're not seeing, and you need to transform your perceptions from a higher level of awareness so that you can. So a little esoteric type of a interpretation there. But I think that it can be applied to all kinds of things, no matter what it's about. Again, whether it's at work or at school, or with neighbors, or with your family, or an interaction between you and someone else. Be sure to allow in other words, don't have your perceptions so fixed that you can't allow for another way of seeing something, because doing so may open things up in a way you never thought, you never even conceived of, and then the outcome becomes better. So anyway, that's all. I don't think we need another card. I like the fact that we have, it combines 6 energy with the major cards, and then a 6 energy with the minor. So it really dovetails into that. And again, I just think the guy in the 6 here of Pentacles, his perception's just off. He's not seeing the situation in a way that's actually going to make a difference. So maybe we can just bring it all down to that. See the situation in a way that can make a difference, and go from there. So anyway, that's it. Do check out the blog over there at Stepping Aside. If you click on show more below the video, it'll bring up all these links and stuff. That's the website's there, and everywhere else I'm there it's there too. I'm mostly on Twitter though, so if you want to follow me over there, I'll follow back. And usually, unless I just don't see it, but occasionally I remember to scroll through and look to see, oh God, I didn't follow that person back, so I better do that. But that's all there. And regular post went up on the weekly post went up on Patreon. Lots of fun ideas there. I took a different theme with the recommendations for magic each day. I took a herbalism, working with herbs, doing herb magic for the whole week, and so that was interesting to do that. Different things you can do and use herbs for. So not necessarily always specific, types of magical workings per se, but like how to use smudges to cleanse an area, how to make them, and how to make incense. I did one on that, and just a real easy way to do it. I just use honey, and I keep adding whatever. I have my herbs, and then I usually thicken it with sandalwood powder. But then I flatten them down. I wonder if I have some here. Oh, I think I do. Do I? No. Well, I had them here somewhere. But anyway, I just flatten them down into discs and just make them really flat. And I let them dry, and then you can just set them on a piece of charcoal, and it is burn really nice. But anyway, there's that. So if you want to check that out over there, you can go to the Patreon page and follow me over there. Stuff goes up on Medium as well. These videos also go up over on Patreon too, and then I do a write-up underneath. So there's that. But other than that, I guess that's it. I don't have anything else to say. Oh, the mama goose is starting to build her nest, and is very happy that my husband put some hay out there for her to do that. And so she's probably beginning to lay now. So in another month or so, we should probably see the goslings, and so that'll be cool. Anyway, I usually post pictures of that over on Twitter, so check that out. I'll let you know when they're up and ready. They won't be here very long. After, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, they're gone. They introduce them to us, and we get to see them. We can get up close to them and give them a little, powdered up laina we have for the chickens. We get it in pellet form, but we'll put a little ground up stuff out there for them so they can eat it. But so they do that for a few days, and then they're gone. So anyway, they do it every year. It's just the coolest thing. So anyway, have a good week, and we'll meet again Thursday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.